Welcome to the Back on Track Achieving Healthy Weight Loss podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Alicia Shelly. Have you ever asked yourself why I'm eating so much, or why am I so hungry when I know I just ate? I know that's happened to me many a times. And so I'm so glad that today we're talking to our expert, Sandy Robertson, who is a certified holistic nurse and former corporate and hospital wellness program manager and coordinator, and also the author of the book, Why Am I Eating This? Is this the nourishment that I need? So welcome to the podcast, Sandy. We're so happy to have you today.
Thank you, Dr. Kelly. So nice to be here. I'm really honored. Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, you're welcome. Before we get started, though, let's learn a little bit more about yourself. Would you mind maybe sharing your weight story with us?
That's a great question, because that was actually the impetus to this book, ultimately. I was fat as a child, and my grandmother lived with us, who loved to have fattening sweets and treats around. On the other hand, my father had been an alternate to the Olympics for track. He was very health and very disciplined eater. Let's just say there were a lot of conflicting emotions in the house, combined with lots of sweet treats and excess portions. So for me, food was comfort, food was fun, food was entertainment, and there were a lot of sad emotions too at times in the house, a lot of fun. And so food was comfort, it was solace, it was entertaining. And as I grew up in high school, college, I lost the weight, but then at other times in my life with stress or extreme stress, I would put on 10 or 15 pounds, then lose it. And then as I got more into the wellness fitness arena and managing corporate wellness programs, it became easier to realize, wow, I was eating for reasons that had nothing to do with, was I hungry? And then as I started counseling people and leading wellness groups and hearing people's stories, it became a lot easier to assimilate the information. So my story, I think like millions of people and your listeners, grew from my own pain and struggle at times with losing weight, and then getting to that aha moment of, it's really about nourishment and also self-talk, since we talk to ourselves in so many ways. And so the book is about helping people change their relationship with food and eating and themselves for good, to end the diets and end the struggle.
Well, thank you. Now, why do you, in your experience, why do you feel like people, even myself included, tend to overeat or maybe eat foods that are less healthy? I know you mentioned sometimes we eat for comfort, but is there anything else that kind of drives us?
I think peer pressure sometimes, or family pressure. You're either eating at home with family who serve large portions and food is love for many people, eat, or perhaps you're out with friends, office group, social events. Everyone else is eating a lot and or eating fast. That's another thing I've noticed and heard from people, especially in a group. People eat fast and then subconsciously we're eating to catch up. So it takes a lot of using the tools of mindful eating, which I also talk about in my book, to deliberately slow down, pause, chew, put utensils down in between bites, even with the fun, friend crowd, to be able to eat at your pace the way you need to for your body, independent of what's going on with the rest of the crowd. So I think sometimes it's peer pressure subconsciously. We might not even be aware of it.
No, I agree with you. I don't even think I know sometimes when people have a potluck, we're like, okay, you need to take these leftovers. Here we go. You're pushing food on people and not realizing that, hey, they may not want to take these fattening foods home, to eat on. So you're right. There is a lot of peer pressure as well. And I know you mentioned sometimes we do it for comfort. You said this, sometimes we have positive emotions, negative emotions, we tend to eat. Was there anything else that you were mentioning that why people tend to overeat?
Well, I learned from a psychologist colleague the moniker HALT, to ask, am I hungry, angry, lonely, or tired? And I really like that a lot, again, without judgment, no blame. Just stopping and pausing. Say you go into the kitchen and you're opening the refrigerator, just staring, or opening the cupboard, and maybe you ate 20 minutes ago. And just pausing and taking a breath and asking, am I hungry, angry, lonely, tired, frustrated, isolated. It's a time with so many people working remotely now. I think people have lost that person-to-person contact. They're on Zoom a lot. And perhaps people are feeling lonely and isolated. And those all can be reasons that we overeat, for a friend, or sometimes boredom. Actually, that's another one. I'm really bored. I think I'll eat some pretzels. So all of the above. And then it gets back to, okay, stop, self-care, self-nourishment. Even if I want a snack right now, what's the best nourishment for me at this moment? The best fuel.
That's good. That's good. So I like that mnemonic, halt, asking ourselves, like, are we, what's going on at the moment? Taking that mindfulness. Now, in your book, you talk about like the 7 simple steps to kind of overcoming that mindfulness. Not the mindfulness, but overcoming 7 steps to retrain your mind. Can you maybe share with us just some of those steps and what people can use?
Sure. It starts out with awareness. What's in my refrigerator? What's in my cabinet? And awareness of some of my food trends and habits, again, non-judgmentally. Oh, I want a snack all the time, or I have a hard time managing portion size. So just awareness. And then the principles of mindful eating slowly, chewing. First of all, being present with the food, pausing. In many cultures, grace is said first. And that act of pausing, noticing what's on the plate, how much, maybe even having a little plan. I'm going to eat half of this, say if you're in a restaurant, or a third of it. And chewing and savoring and tasting the food. Many people chew 2 or 3 times and swallow when some dietitians say 20 or even 50 times because digestion starts in the mouth, as I know you know. People forget that chewing is really vitally important. It helps improve digestion. And uncovering the mystery of our unique eating history. I shared some of mine. Just noticing, when I grew up, it was eat everything on your plate, clean your plate. Or, as I said, food is love. You don't want to insult anyone by leaving food on your plate. And noticing that, and then being able to be in the present with, I'm going to take care of myself now, independent of maybe some beliefs that I learned growing up. Self-talk. I delve into self-talk a lot in my book, and cognitive restructuring, which psychologists use, it can be simplified for any of us to notice what is my self-talk around food, whether I'm giving myself permission or blaming and shaming, but to shift and have more positive self-talk around from a joyful, happy place of I'm eating just enough for me because I care about myself, and creating those kinds of messages that are affirming. Gratitude can help a lot as we're eating. I'm grateful for this food and this amount. Instead of having our mind in the present, in the future, we keep our mind in the present. And just really noticing, am I eating this for fuel because my body needs energy right now? Or I'm hungry or angry? And might there be other nourishment that suits me better? That's what I get into with the new material that actually is a free excerpt when people come to my website of 3 pages of that. Or do I need sleep? A lot of clients that I see, and I've heard stories, people realizing they're overeating because they're tired, when really they're sleep deprived. So the thing about with the wheel of health or circle of health, you don't have to be an expert in whole health to ask yourself, might I need sleep, water, fresh air, exercise, to connect with family and friends, or to take a course, or not even formal exercise, but movement? Do I need to go outside and look up at the sky and perhaps stretch and breathe and, open up my lungs to get some oxygen flowing, especially for people who are on Zoom or perhaps sitting a lot during the day? So my book then ultimately really gets to self-care and nourishment and self-love, because it all boils down to our actions reflect how much we care about ourselves and love ourselves.
That is powerful, so powerful. As far as these 7 steps to kind of retrain your mind, I wanted to delve a little bit more into that self-talk. What are some ways that we can kind of to stop ourselves, I guess, or what are some negative self-talk that we may not think is negative, but what are negative that we normally say to ourselves? Mm-hmm.
Well, I want to start with, actually, you just said the key first word, to stop. So when we notice, thank you so much for that lead in, when we notice perhaps we're shaming, blaming, being critical of ourselves, to say stop, pause, take a breath, and re-choose a new thought, a new action, or reflect, next. How can I say something more positive to myself? A lot of times people are either blaming themselves, I don't have willpower, perhaps feelings of self-hatred or self-loathing, and I strongly encourage people to talk to their doctor, mental health professional, psychologist, to get that psychological and emotional support. If there's trauma there that's driving either compulsive overeating, and for some people, food can be an addiction. So while I'm not an expert in that, I am a nurse and I've heard thousands of stories. So I want to include that in my message. Some people can, on their own, notice that their self-talk may need a shift to something more positive, like you would talk to a friend. You can do it. It's manageable to re-choose your portion sizes and eat slowly and ask yourself, what do I really need right now? And is this helpful? Instead of other more negative messages that only fuel people feeling badly about themselves, which is not a way to shift positive self-behavior change, as you know.
I know, that's absolutely correct. Because sometimes our mind is the worst enemy. And we find all the negative things that happen. And when actually we need to just make that shift to more of a positive language. Would you also maybe share with us kind of when you talked about, and in your book, you talked about like keeping a food journal. How does that help you to be more mindful?
Back to awareness. A lot of people eat mindlessly and are not aware how many crackers they're eating or cookies or the snacks as they're making dinner, independent of dinner. I have found that people who have the most success actually have a food journal. It could be on one piece of paper on your phone or computer, whatever you like, and to track what you're eating throughout the day and how much. Some people have food scales. And to me, that's not being obsessive, it's being aware to know the portion size of a bag of trail mix might have 6 servings in it, or a bag of nuts versus 28 grams is a serving. Well, how many almonds is 28 grams? Just to be aware. So that the food diary, self-care journal you can say, how are you feeling at the time? Was I feeling hungry, angry, lonely, tired, frustrated? And helping people, it's an aha moment. So I love the concept of light bulb moments, which I include in my book. For a lot of people, that's a light bulb moment when they start looking at it, and also noting how much sleep they're getting, and to connect the dots with, wow, I didn't get much sleep. I was craving carbohydrates and sugar the next day. I ate almost a box of crackers. Like, wait a minute, what's going on? Hormonal imbalances can sometimes drive cravings, sometimes weather changes for people and the barometric pressure. So I also talk about nourishing our energy systems, and everyone is energy, and to note that we are influenced by external energy, what's going on in the environment or electromagnetics around us, cars, noise, or internal energy, what's going on in our bodies. So bringing that all together can be in a diary, you don't have to call it that, self-care journal. Again, giving information. Knowledge is power, so people can have aha moments, connecting the dots for what's going on with them and what nourishment they need for their ultimate self-care.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Now, during the Christmas time, people are going to Christmas parties, family gatherings. How can they set goals when they're in that situation? Especially when, like we mentioned before, there's like a lot of peer pressure. People looking at what they're eating, feeling a little bit judged. How can you set those goals and kind of implement them when you're at these functions?
I would suggest that people really use the principles of mindful eating. So they go in, let's say there's a buffet. I actually was at one lunch today, potluck. Lots of wonderful things to choose from. And to first survey the field, what is there? And to choose the things that you really love and are special, including desserts. And to choose small portions, because invariably people start loading up their plates, starting at the front of the line. But small portions of the things that you love the most, knowing that you can go back, And as you sit down, being present with the food and chew and have water or non-sugary, beverage to go along with it, and to really focus on the enjoyment of the people, savoring the food, everything, and noting before you jump back in line, am I truly hungry? Do I need fuel? Or might it be good to go talk to someone else? And if you really, really want a second cookie, that's okay. It's the holidays versus 3 more pieces of pie, to choose deliberately for you. And I think that will really help people. And I talk a lot about mindful eating in my book.
Thank you for those tools of mindful eating. Well, you've given us a lot to consider, a lot of things that we can use in order to retrain our life. Any last bit of advice or information you have for the audience today?
If they go to my website, again, they'll get a free excerpt from the new book. Also, if they note that they heard me on your podcast today, I'm giving 20-minute complimentary sessions with people to talk about what their needs are in terms of nourishment and self-care. And I would say for everyone, remember that self-love and self-compassion can help drive you to have new, wonderful, personalized eating habits for you.
Well, thank you so much. And would you mind just sharing? I know we'll have your website in the show notes, so you'll be able to see it there. But did you want to maybe just say it out loud where your website is?
Yes, I'd love to. Thank you. www.energyworkswisdom.com. I'll say it again, energyworkswisdom.com.
Thank you again. And thank you all for joining us today on the Back on Track Achieving Healthy Weight Loss. If you like this episode, please share it with others, like it, and subscribe. And don't forget to leave a 5-star review. And we'll see you all next time.